I'm not as anxious as I used to be about situations. I used to get, I'd be burdened by expectations, both, personal life, work, because people tend to place these expectations on me, and it makes me anxious, especially about dealing with situations that might arise in the future that I might be unsure of how to deal with. But I find that I am much more comfortable, not as anxious, because I guess the confidence is there that whatever situations I might be placed with, I have the tools to deal with those situations.
Biggest change might be a rebirth in passion. I would have come to a point as a public officer where I was doubtful about my role as a leader versus a technical officer and all of the things that were happening. And I think my passion, the drive that I have for the work that I do, was dwindling, and it was affecting the way I relate to others. Now, because that has been rekindled, I think I'm able to work more confidently, again, with my colleagues, relate to each other, with each of them at different levels, but also with a bit more knowledge of who I am as a person and what drives me, and looking to see as well what drives them and how we can connect to do this work in the best way possible.
Lessons about passion, you must be passionate about the work that you do and so on. And I regained my passion for my work, and then from that moment, from that workshop, when I came back, my direct report saw that something changed in me, because I was vibrant, I was different, and I was so, I talked to them about the workshop, the learnings, and so on and so on. They saw that in me.
Prior to CLP, like I said, I tended to take a backdoor approach to leadership. So I would allow things to flow. And I realize now that as the leader, I need to set the tone in order to create the atmosphere for my department. And so I need to be more visible in terms of my staff. I find that I walk around a bit more looking for those shining eyes. And I think that has been revolutionary for me in terms of how I've seen that I've transformed as a leader and the changes that are beginning within my department.
What I'm hearing is that I've grown to be more open and more forthright. And I'm hearing that finally you are embracing leadership, because it's demonstrated in what I do. What I've also heard is that I've become more engaging. Previously, I would delegate, but it was a detached delegation. Now I am more involved in the process. So the follow-up is there now.
There was no empowerment in supervisors. Me being on this program, I have imparted that knowledge, and then the empowerment now on supervisors to actually get up and do something. Well, they feel good. I mean, it wasn't happening before, So actually, I have brought a new tool to the organization, a new way of thinking, So that is good. That's good for them. That's good for our organization as well.
I would say that in terms of my listening, they would have seen some improvement in my ability to listen more. I think in the past I was a bit tardy in spending time listening, but I believe that I am listening more, and they would have recognized that. Coupled with that then is, because I listen more, I'm taking into consideration other views. In the past I would have been more hasty to make a decision, but I think by listening more you recognize the other options and possibilities that exist to address any issues that we encounter in the office, really.
110% listening has been tremendous. Most of the times prior, I would what I call multitask. And I'm talking and I'm doing other stuff while I'm engaging persons. But now I've learned through the process of having an open door does not necessarily mean having an open time.
Yes, I delegated a major task and was able to get some feedback from the staff member I would have delegated to. I actually told him after task was completed, I was really anxious about this. And I said, are you concerned? How do you feel about me saying I was anxious? And he said, oh no, you needed to be anxious. So, he shared with me that he had a lot of anxiety as well. He said that he felt a lot more confident, and he felt that I had more confidence in him.
What I take away from the Bidal session for me was the ability to respond, to be accountable to a team. And so I've tried some of the Bidal action learning with my direct reports. So not in the way that Bidal should be done, but really to be able to account to the team. And so you take responsibility, you see what's the task, who should get it done, and everybody knows that person. I find that to be very effective.
What we have been doing is having a lot more discussions. We would look at an issue and say, okay, all right, maybe we can do it this way or we can do it differently. One of the tools I learned, which has impacted on me, is the 110% listening. Now, I told my Bidal group I don't do it 100% of the time, but when I do it, I actively listen. And that is a skill I'm teaching to my staff members.
It's been suggested I'm now more focused on mentoring, on developing subordinates for their future roles. My perspective of the LDP is to make good leaders better. I'm very interested in the strategic development, not only my own vision, but certainly the vision of individuals towards a common focus, which is the development of the organization.
I also had a situation where the board of directors that I report to, the information that they get now is much more precise also. So again, for them to make a decision, the information is packaged in such a manner that is important for them. And it is not myself that making this comment, but what they see as a program that I'm doing. And so they have recognized that. And also to my staff, they have indicated that they are receiving the kind of feedback now. And before, when they did a bit of work or activity, I would just acknowledge and say, yeah, that's quite okay. But now I'm able to give them the kind of feedback that they require, and also receive the kind of feedback so that I can incorporate that into my other activities and planning. So that has been working quite well for me.
My staff are beginning to realize that I'm giving up my stranglehold on management and control, because that's my personality. And if I think you're not going to do it good, I'm not going to give it to you to do it badly, and then you give it back to me to solve the problem. But because I've been seeing possibilities and I learned about delegation, I've been trying it, and junior officers are now in charge of programs that I would never have even conceived of them trying to do anything with before.
Well, I think they would see more openness in me and more willingness to listen and to have greater participation coming from their side.
On the one hand, I believe that, people will react best if they're comfortable, but at the same time, there's this hierarchy, there are rules, there are performance standards. And so this helped me to see that as a leader, it is my responsibility to provide people with what they need to go from wherever they are to greater leadership. Whatever position they are in, they can be leaders in that area. And it's my responsibility to do the work to help them to tap into it. And that has changed the whole dynamic in our office a lot. There's a lot more sharing. People come to me with a different level of information, a greater spirit. and I go to them more openly and I ask, can you help me? I need to do this, can you help me? Or I need your help.
Yeah, I really thought I was a good listener. But then having been introduced to the 110% listening, I realized I was doing so many things wrong before, but having been able to know the tool, the 110% listening, as a very effective way of ensuring that you listen to the persons with whom you work, your direct reports, the persons who you report to. It really has enhanced how I go about doing things as a manager and as a leader.
Because I think my inclination is to say, you should do this, you should do that, you should, when someone comes to me with a problem. And so I've been trying to do that, and I've been getting about, what are you asking me all these questions for? But I think it's helping. It's a learning process for me also to try and encourage others to, or allow others to think for themselves and basically to relinquish control. So that's a personal behavior growth on my part.
I think that I've adopted a more strategic approach to outlook to my work. More willing to engage and also to adapt the 110% listening. I thought that was very instructive, and I usually try very hard to make sure I'm doing that. Whatever I'm doing, I put my stuff down and I try to fully engage and listen to what's being said.
So one exciting change is the adoption of the 110% listening. I have introduced the 110% listening to my team. They've adopted it themselves, and so much so that they remind me and each other when we do not use it. I find that the utilization of the 110% listening has forged effective communication among our team.
I have a need more to motivate and to inspire, so I interact more, and my staff would have seen the change in behavior. As a matter of fact, having learned about the stakeholder mapping, I gained confidence. I've actually gone out into one of our rural communities. I interact with parents, teachers, community groups. So I'm more involved right now in the work of the ministry, and I have a greater feeling of participation.
They find that I'm more proactive, that I'm reaching out to them more, and that they see the benefit of that in terms of our organization, not waiting for them to make requests for service, but that we are reaching out to them in advance and asking them, okay, what are your human resource plans? What recruitment selection process do we have to put in place in order to meet your requirements and so on. So it's a lot more proactive, a lot more collaborative.